Well, happy Wednesday morning to you, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston, and I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. We are involved in a study of the eschatology of the parables of Jesus. But I've got to tell you, I've got to spend some time addressing a recent program on the Jim Bakker Show with a speaker, a so-called, quote, prophet, unquote, named John Shorey. I've got to tell you, folks, programs like this are a shame and a disgrace on the name of Christ. I don't want to offend anyone, but it is time for the modern church to wake up. It is time for the modern church to speak out. How many times are we going to listen without objection to men telling us that the end is now? Do you remember Jonathan Cahn and the Shemitah that was supposed to bring the utter, total collapse of the American financial institution in September of 2015? Do you remember the predictions of other so-called prophets that California was going to be destroyed by an earthquake and fall off into the sea? And now, Mr. Shorey, who says he received, quote, a prophetic word, unquote, tells us that they were sort of kind of wrong to expect those things last September. Well, not really wrong. After all, they were predicted and prophesied. But he asked the question, why did they not happen as we expected them to? Now look, I'm going to spend just a little bit of time on this, all right? Because what's happening here is absolutely terrible. Number one, neither Mr. Shorey, nor Jonathan Cahn, or John Hagee, or any other living person today is a prophet of God. Who was a prophet of God, biblically? They were not someone that had just read a text and decided, oh, I think I've got that figured out. They were called by God. They were inspired by God. They were empowered by God. And their predictions came true. What did God say was the criteria for determining whether or not a man was a genuine prophet? Well, Deuteronomy chapter 18 is pretty emphatic. The Lord said, if a man speaks anything in my name, and if that thing does not come to pass, I did not send him. I didn't speak to him. In other words, he is not a prophet of God. And yet, John Shorey said on Jim Bakker's show, he spoke about what had been supposedly prophesied by these so-called prophets to happen in September of 2015. He admitted those prophecies did not take place. Now, he tried to explain why, and we'll get to that discussion later, all right? But the point of fact is, he said that these men who predicted these catastrophes and events that were supposed to happen last September were predictions from so-called prophets of God. Listen, folks, this is such a critical issue. I challenge anyone and everyone who watches these videos to please carefully consider the fact there are no living prophets today. Living prophets could strike people blind, like Paul did in Acts 13. Living prophets did not make false prophecies, like Mr. Shorey and Jonathan Cahn and John Hagee with his 4 blood moons. These modern predictions that continue to be made from the dispensational and in this case, the mid-trib perspective are a shame, an embarrassment to the Christian community. If you want to know the truth about the Great Tribulation, I've written a book called Blast from the Past, The Truth About Armageddon. Well, you know, you can't have Armageddon without the Great Tribulation. You can't have the Great Tribulation without Armageddon. And yet, Mr. Shorey says, guess what? The Great Tribulation is going to begin March 2016. Mr. Shorey is a false prophet. Go to my website, get the book, Blast from the Past, The Truth About Armageddon. This will absolutely settle your heart, settle your mind. It will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that men like Mr. Shorey, Jim Baker, Jonathan Cahn, John Hagee, they are in fact false teachers. And we will continue to prove that over the next couple of videos. But rest assured, the Great Tribulation will not happen in March of 2016. Thanks for joining me for this morning's morning news musings. You're going to enjoy the next few videos, all right? We'll see you on the flip side.